As a POC, I disagree with these standards. I believe it encourages discrimination by forcing employers to take into account a person's ethnicity instead of just their skill, which is what minor groups have been fighting against for so long. Also, how will they police this? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, my name is Zhariya Smith, and I typically make commentary videos just like this one, so if you guys like that, you happen to just love my gorgeous face, make sure to subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell to get notified every single time I post, which happens to be on Mondays and on Fridays. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing amazing. As you guys know, I'm an aspiring actress. My goal is to one day be on the big screen and inspire millions and millions of young Black girls throughout the world. And the Academy just did something that was interesting. They decided to change the criteria of Best Picture that will be put into effect in 2024, which would be the 96th Oscars. And it's a little interesting. I'm still a little bit, torn by this new thing. Granted, it's not going to go into effect for 4 years, but let's get into it. So if you don't know, the Academy is essentially the thing that is in charge of the Oscars, which is arguably the biggest award show for actors alike. There's some other ones, but the Oscars are like the huge thing that everyone, looks forward to. Every actor wants to win Best Actress or Best Actor from the Academy. So this is a big, big deal. And I'm going to put it on the screen. But for the 94th Oscars and the 95th Oscars, submitting a confidential Academy Inclusion Standards form will be required for Best Picture consideration. However, meeting inclusion thresholds will not be required for eligibility for Best Pictures until the 96th Oscars. So, what are these eligibility requirements? Well, you have to meet 2 of the 4 following standards, and I'm going to read out each of the standards. And I'm going to explain why everyone's so upset about this. But Standard A is on-screen representation, themes, and narratives. To achieve Standard A, the film must meet 1 of the following criteria. So there's A1, which is the lead or significant supporting actors. And this is at least one of the lead actors or significant supporting actors is a part of an underrepresented racial or ethnic group, such as, minorities. A2, at least 30% of all actors in secondary and more minor roles are from at least 2 of the following underrepresented groups, which are women, racial, ethnic group, LGBT, or someone with a physical disability, etc. And then A3, which is the main storyline or subject matter, must have the narrative that's centered around an underrepresented group, which would be women, racial ethnic group, LGBT, or people with cognitive or physical disabilities. So that is Standard A. And like I said, they have to follow 1 of the little subsections. So now we're on to Standard B. At least 2 of the and this is again 1 of the 3. I'm going to put them on the screen, obviously. But at least 2 of the following creative leadership positions and department heads, as in cast, you can read it. I'm not reading all of that. But they have to be from an underrepresented group. So that means women, racial ethnic group, LGBT, or people with a cognitive physical disability. And also they need to have at least 1 of those positions must belong to the following underrepresented or racial ethnic group. So it's basically saying that 2 of the people have to be one thing, and then 1 person has to be a minority, ethnic minority, I should say. B2 is at least 6 other crew/team members are from underrepresented racial or ethnic groups, and that is on the screen. Or B3, as in the overall crew composition must be at least 30% of the film's crew. Must be women, racial ethnic minorities, LGBT, or with people with cognitive or physical disabilities. That is Standard B. Standard C is they must meet both of the criteria. So this is like non-negotiable. Every single one has to have this. And it says they need to have paid apprenticeship and internship opportunities. And this has to be paid apprenticeships or internships that are from the following underrepresented groups: women, all of that. Then the major studios distributors are required to have substantive ongoing paid apprenticeships, inclusive of underrepresented groups. And you can read all that. I'm not wearing my glasses, so this is a little difficult for me. But the many major or independent studio distributors must have the minimum of 2 apprentices/interns from the above underrepresented groups, and at least 1 from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. So that means you can have 1 LGBT person and then 1 black person, for example. And then C2, which is the film's production and distribution and or financing offers training and work opportunities for below the line skill development for people from the underrepresented groups. Now, standard D is audience development, which is D1. The studio and or film company has multiple in-house senior executives from among the following underrepresented groups. They must include individuals from underrepresented racial or ethnic groups on their marketing, publicity, and or distribution teams. So there's that. And it says all the categories other than Best Pictures will be held to their current eligibility requirements. So this only applies to Best Picture. This does not apply to other film categories. And the big issue here that I'm going to kind of harp on, at least my opinion on this, is that it says you need to have 2 of the following standards. 3 of them are very easy to achieve. It should not be a difficulty. But one of them is very, very hard to achieve for smaller film producing people, which is the paid apprenticeship and internship opportunities. And that is very hard for people to, do. I do think that it is like the thought was there. I can see that they genuinely thought like, oh, this is going to be good. It's going to like force inclusion. However, I wouldn't want to like have like forced inclusion. I would much rather them just pick films that are already being made that meet this criteria perfectly fine, and then give those films a spotlight instead of, forcing these big companies who don't care about people of color or underrepresented groups and just make a stupid film and they're like, oh, it's going to win Best Picture because it does XYZ. Like, that's not what film is supposed to be. And now I'm going to go on Twitter and read some comments. Obviously, my tweet that I made. I was kind of mad when I found out about this. But there is 2 sides. There are some people that are saying that, oh, if you're upset by this, that means that you're racist because you don't want black people or people of minorities to be represented in like a positive way and you don't want them to be it. But I don't think it's that, at least from my opinion. There's one comment that says, the comments in this thread confirm that there are plenty of angry, hateful white people who still erroneously think that white dominance in Hollywood is a natural occurrence, a result of merit and talent and not of a lack of diversity or systematic exclusion, I should say. Now, I will say that I do have a video that I have on my channel that I posted about the black representation in film and about the difficulties that does. So I think it is true that in a way Hollywood mistreats black people tremendously. We all know this. But then trying to force it is just going to make us have more of the helps, and we don't need more white savior films being released. But then also you have to understand that in a way some films that have won Best Picture wouldn't qualify under this new ruling that they have, which is also a thing because they're saying like, oh, like, so the films that you've voted as Best Picture before no longer meet Best Picture quality because it doesn't have an LGBT person in it, for example. That just doesn't like make sense to me. And I don't want to seem like insensitive. I am a black person. I'm a person of color. I have my struggles in acting. I did that video where I showed you guys like how black people are treated. So I definitely am on the side of people who think that it's important to have inclusion, but there also shouldn't be forced inclusion. So there's this one tweet that I saw by Debbie Eckert, and it says, "This is stupid. We're talking about art, not factory produced cookie cutter crap. I can't believe I'm agreeing with Kirstie Alley," I don't know who that is, "but on anything. But in this case, she's absolutely right. Control artists, control individual thought. You just destroyed the industry." And I definitely kind of agree with that. I think that you shouldn't try to force inclusion. You should just make it natural. It's unnatural by the fact that there are so few films that focus on, Black characters, or even how I said that there are no truly just typical teen Netflix movies that have a Black protagonist in it. The Black main character who the story revolves around that does not have to do with race. So that is also a thing that I think we should know. I just want to reiterate, I think that it's important that change is very important in the film industry, and I think that this is a very, very small, thing to do, but also have to understand that, for instance, for the clause of having a main character be a POC person, for example, you could literally just cast a whitewashed person of color and that would just fit. You also have to consider, how are they going to regulate this new clause? Are they going to have to force people to have DNA tests to prove that they're a person of color? What about people who are Cuban, who are 100%, not 100% white, but are white, blonde hair, blue eyes, what you think was a white person, they pass as being white, so does that count as a person of color? Or even an LGBT person, how would you know that they were LGBT? A person could literally just lie and say that they are LGBT. There's no way to regulate that. So I think that it's very important to note that we have to understand that the Academy just said this on the 8th, I believe, that they released this. So we have to understand that they're probably going to add some tweaks further down the line that's going to make it more, to see how this is going to do. This clause does literally directly affect me, as I want to be in film, and I'm hoping that I will be in the industry by 2024. And if I would much rather, I would much rather be in Best Picture movie than I was there because I was a good actress, not because I met their 30% Black person quota, or I met their one Black lead and I just happened to be that Black lead and then suddenly I win an Oscar for that. I wouldn't want that. That would make me feel worthless in a way. So there's a lot going on. I guess I'm going to end the video here because I've been talking for way too long. But if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, as that really, really helps small channels like mine. Make sure to also subscribe down below if you like this video. Leave a comment on your opinion about the Academy's decision. I think that they have a lot of tweaking to do personally, but let me know in those comments down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.